Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member. I first want to thank the chairman for keeping his promise and making sure that this hearing was done. You made that promise publicly a number of months ago, and really appreciate it. Secondly, clear up a couple of things. We have a bill that will drop tomorrow on the extension deadline for the COVID money that was given out to the tribes. We also have a bill. I want to thank the chairman and the ranking member also for leading a bipartisan GAO letter to identify IHS needs on tribal nations for different types of facilities. I'm going to request, and have been working with staff to do that also for the COVID conditions that are out there, and to see how IHS has worked on those. Additionally, we have a bill out there already on graduate medical education for tribal and rural areas in the United States. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, I had a whole list of things, but the treaty and trust obligations of the United States of America. And I just want to point out a couple of things. We've talked a lot about healthcare and others, and that's extremely important. But the Navajo Nation 40 years ago had the Bennett land freeze, where a large section of the reservation could not be changed. No new businesses, no changing of your house, nothing. And that's not resolved yet. It's resolved as far not as far as funding to get that resolved. The uranium mining, the president brought that up. We are. I talked to EPA. There's not one of those 500 and some sites that are safe, and we've known that for 70 years that this is going on. Unemployment. I represent 12 tribes. Unemployment rate ranges from 40% to over 80%. That's before COVID. Just imagine what it is today. Police on Navajo, there's probably about 205 or 4 of the police officers on the street around the clock on an area, the state, the size of West Virginia. You get the sense here that I could go on and on, but I want to ask a couple of questions of President Nez, Yate President Nez. In your testimony, you mentioned HR 7056, legislation that Congressman Don Young and I introduced to authorize much needed funding for the Indian Health Services Facilities Construction Program. Can you explain how this would improve the lives of the elders in remote communities like Hard Rock Chapter? Do you think adequate funding for the program will reduce the spread of COVID-19 by allowing elders to follow CDC guidelines and wash their hands with soap and clean water? The second one is there a piece of legislation currently before the House that would immediately help the Navajo people if passed?
Thank you, my good friend Tom O'Halloran, representative and chairman, members of the committee. Those questions I have spoke about earlier in terms of getting needed water infrastructure to our citizens. And again, 40 to 50% of our Navajo citizens don't have running water. And so it's critical that we get water to our Navajo people. And through this drought, you know, in our way of life, in our culture, and many of you may be ranchers, you know that our animals are important to us for providing for our well-being as well. You know, we sell our livestock to make pay for things. And here, being in a drought, you know, with what Representative O'Halloran is pointing out, is to get monies into the IHS for watering points, not just for drinking water, but also for our livestock here, because a lot of times we have to go 50 plus miles to haul water. And so it's critical at this point. Again, no vaccine, no cure for COVID. We don't know how long this is going to last. And we need to get running water to our Navajo citizens, especially those in the rural parts of the Navajo Nation. And thank you so much for being a champion, Representative O'Halloran, on the Special Diabetes Program, SDVI. And, that funding has lessened the rate of diabetes throughout the tribal communities. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, I think my time is probably up, so I will